what do we mean by the edge? And since this webinar is talking about the edge, I'd like to clarify that a little bit. I have the privilege of talking to a lot of folks in the industry, and it's interesting to hear all of the different opinions about what edge means to them because it's very application dependent. Probably the most common one is we think about is something like running on a smart doorbell, running on an intelligent appliance, or maybe a piece of advanced manufacturing equipment or scientific instruments. And that's great. That's one edge use case. Of course, if you're deploying cameras in a retail store to monitor analytics about people in the checkout queue or traffic intersections, you're probably not running AI models on the camera. There's probably a nearby server or a couple of servers, maybe with GPUs, that are doing the heavy lift of the processing. That's still edge. It's not on device, but it's probably a micro data center or a local server somewhere. And of course, if you're building an application and serving customers around the world, it may well be that you're deploying these same models closer to the users in Asia, in Africa, in Europe. And now they're out in a data center, but it's not your data center, it's somewhere else halfway around the world. And that presents its own set of challenges. So when we talk about edge here, really we mean just about anything that's not your home data center, that's outside of IT's control, out in the wilds where you have maybe less connectivity, maybe you have less control over the devices. I also want to differentiate here a little bit when we talk about on-device, because there's many orders of magnitude of difference in terms of the resources available. We're not going to be talking about very small compute devices, microcontrollers, where the memory is measured in single digits of megabytes or maybe tens of megabytes. What I'm going to really narrow the discussion to is, say, a Raspberry Pi class device and above, meaning half a gig or a gig of memory, sort of a real processor, ARM Core x86 type, and an operating system that can run containers. That both are very legitimate targets, but microcontrollers, because of the strong limit of the number of the resources available, present a very different set of challenges in terms of optimization. Whereas when you talk about a little bit bigger devices, what we call the fat edge or the connected edge, those are a little more similar to local data centers, local servers, and up. So that's going to be my focus today.